Hey, did you hear the one about the guy that had a classic car to restore and then he let it sit in his garage for 3 years? Of course not. I haven't told you about it yet. As soon as I come out with the camera, my neighbors across the way start having a fight. They're out there yelling in their yard, and then a loud truck drives by, and then a balloon went flying past. It's like I could have been here all day and nothing going on. And suddenly everybody's got to be out making noise today. All righty, so here's my story. I bought this car with the greatest intentions. You know, I've been watching shows on TV like, oh, you know, Fast and Loud and Fat and Furious and all these shows about rebuilding cars and just having a cool car when you're done. And I kind of caught the bug back in the fall of 2013, probably 2013, yeah. And I started looking around for a car and kind of wanted a early 70s Chevelle or something like that. Wasn't really looking for a Mustang until all of a sudden I saw a guy had one on Craigslist, and you know, I watched it and watched it and watched it and didn't do anything with it. And then after about a month, it disappeared. And suddenly I had to have a Mustang because I didn't get the Mustang I was looking for. A friend of mine was selling a Mustang, 65. And if you know anything about Mustangs, Ford came out with a Mustang in the spring of '64 to introduce at the World's Fair in New York. It was in New York. Anyway, they introduced it. It became a huge success. They sold a ton of these things. And those are called 64 and a halves. 65 was the first year they were officially out. And so I have a 65, which is kind of cool. But I bought this car. It had no engine, had no transmission, which is great because I wanted to put that in. I wanted to build out an engine. I wanted to take a good crate motor and fuel inject it and make this car a modern car. I wanted to put a 5-speed manual transmission in it. So I went out and spent a ton of money, bought a ton of parts. Bought the engine from Ford Racing. Actually, yeah, it's a Ford Racing motor. It's a 302. And I got a T5 transmission, and I bolted them all up. And that's when I went in for, did I tell you about my heart surgery? I had to have heart surgery in this summer of 14. That's when I bought this thing, which kind of just shot the rest of the summer. By the time I got recuperated, healed up and everything, it was winter and it's just too cold to be working on the floor. I mean, come on. It's just, you don't want to be laying on concrete when it's 20 degrees outside or something. It's miserable. So it sat. And then we had a bunch of stuff that we had to get done around the house. Like we had to tear down an old building and we put up a new building, a new barn. That took up a lot of time. And I guess that was 2 years ago. And last year I spent time working on the inside of the barn, the new barn. It just, you know, stuff. Life gets in the way, and the Mustang sits in the garage. And so that's kind of my story. And I expect that it's probably the same story that a lot of guys have. You know, it's you get something, you have a great intention to do something with it, and then life happens, you know, and you don't have time. Well, I have to make time now because my neighbor, I mentioned the guy that was having a fight with his son-in-law or stepson or whatever the guy is. 3 years ago, he lent me an engine hoist, and I had the engine up on a chain in there, and he came back to me a couple weeks ago and he said, hey, I kind of need that thing back now. I said, I just got it. What are you talking about? So anyway, I'm under the gun to kind of get this thing done. So before I start showing you some stuff that I'm actually going to work on it, I want to show you what I have done because I haven't just sat here completely idle, but it kind of feels like I've been pretty idle. So let's give you a tour of what I've got going here. Okay, so one of the first things I tackled was I replaced all the steering mechanism. The old, I don't know what you call it, but you know, the thing basically just falls over on one side, falls over the other side, and crappy steering. Rack and pinion steering system I put in here, made by a company I think called Unisteer. And this is the rack and pinion unit down here. It is going to be power assisted, so you see the hydraulic lines coming off. And then this was a
a universal system, a universal joint system that I had to put in to go tie the old steering column into this new system. So that was the first thing I did, was the new steering. And then I replaced all the drum brakes. They were standard on the car with these drilled and slotted disc brakes. I have disc brakes all the way around now. Cool powder coated calipers. And because I'm going disc brakes all the way around, I had to put in a new hydraulic system for the brakes. This is a dual bowl master cylinder, so I can have proportional braking front and back, because you definitely don't want your back brakes grabbing as hard as your front brakes. And they're power assisted, so this is the sort of the power assist unit for the brakes that I had to put in. Also, I had to run all new hard brake lines because nothing lined up with the new master cylinder. The fact that I have two outputs now kind of screwed things up, so I had to run all new brake lines, which took me a long time. I had a lot of fear about running the brake lines, and finally got over that, got those things in there, and I'm pretty happy with that. Next thing I did after the brakes was I started tackling putting in a brand new air conditioning unit. These things didn't come with air conditioning in them, 65, so I wanted to put one in. So I put in a brand new unit from Classic Auto Air. Struggled with that quite a bit. They shipped me the wrong brackets. Thanks, guys. But after we kind of proved to them that they sent me the wrong brackets, they made it right. They sent me the right bracket, and I got all the unit installed. It's all underneath the dash. I'm not going to show you the dash because, well, quite frankly, it's just all completely torn apart. So I'm going to run a fuel-injected engine on this car, and of course that necessitated a new fuel pump, which meant I had to try to put a fuel pump in the old system, and that just didn't work. So I ended up having to buy a brand new fuel tank and put that in. One that's designed for the fuel pump that can do the sending and receiving of the fuel system. So that went in. I don't know how much of this you can actually see, but this is a crate motor that I bought from Ford Racing. It's a 302 high lift cam. I cannot wait to hear this thing actually fire up and run. The other thing I put on the back end is the car originally had an automatic transmission. I want to go with a manual, so I've got a 5-speed manual. It's a T5 transmission. Got it bolted on, flywheels all on, everything's on the back end of the engine. So now it's a matter of getting the front end built out, get the exhaust manifolds on, and get this thing dropped into the car. So hopefully we can make that happen here very shortly, and I get this engine hoist back to my neighbor. Hopefully me getting back at this will be motivation for you to get back on your car and get it out on the road. Hey, as always, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click the thumbs up button down below. It really does help. If you'd like to be notified when we publish new content, go ahead and click my channel icon to subscribe. And finally, while you're here, take some time to check out some of our other videos. Have a great day and get out there and do something new today.